Growing up in the streets, there's one thing you learn early, the hustle. Everybody's selling something. And it's never just about the product, it's about the pitch, the smooth talk, the confidence, the energy. They'll say anything that sounds good to get you to buy in, and a lot of the times it works. Not because of what they're selling is valuable, but because they know how to make it sound valuable. Now, if you're what we call green, meaning you didn't grow up in the area or in the environment, or you don't know better, you don't recognize the setup. You don't hear the manipulation in the words. So you're more likely to fall for it. But somebody from the streets, somebody who understands how the hustlers think, they can spot it instantly. They hear the tone. They see the body language. They recognize the pattern. And it's hard to run game on somebody who already knows the game. Now don't get it twisted. Even the hustlers get out hustled sometimes. But for the most part, they're not no easy targets. Now let's take that same understanding and apply it somewhere people don't usually question. Church. Because when you really step back and look at it, it operates on a very similar system. You got a pastor standing in front of the crowd, speaking with authority, using rhythm, emotion, and carefully choosing words, quoting verses, making promises, got the choir playing, talking about blessings, breakthroughs, and eternal rewards. And all you have to do is believe and get 10% of your income, offerings, seed money, donations. And the craziest part, people don't feel robbed. They feel grateful for the opportunity to give. That's not a stick-up. That's a voluntary robbery. The street hustler pull out a product, the pastor pulls out the Bible. Different tools, same psychological game. But here's where it shifts. When a pastor runs into someone who understands the hustle, it doesn't hit the same. Because now that person isn't just listening. They're analyzing, they're questioning. Why is this structured this way? Why does the message always lead back to money? Why do the promises sound so good but stay so far away? They're not moved by emotion alone. They're watching the play. And once you see the play, it's hard to unsee it. This is where things get uncomfortable. Because if you look around most churches, you'll notice a pattern. You don't see a large presence of men who understand the hustle. Because they're familiar with the con. They know what it looks like when someone is trying to sell hope with words. So they're less likely to fully buy in. If you look around most churches, you'll notice the pattern. You're going to see more women and children in church. Or, if you see men, most men that's there because they trying to keep their wife happy. Not to say men ain't strong on their faith or whatever, but just be real. It's not flocks of men falling up in the church. And the kids mostly there because they being brought there. They're not always there voluntarily. So mostly it's women because they're easily praised. And that's no offense to women, but a lot of women is gullible. It's easier to prey on women. That applies the same way in the street life. That applies the same way when you go to the car salesman. It applies the same way when you go to the mechanic shop. They know how to play on women. Now, before you react, think about it. If someone hasn't been exposed to that manipulation in that raw street level way, they're more open, more trusting, more willing to receive the message without questioning the structure behind it. And that makes them more reachable. Not weaker, not less intelligent, just less conditioned to spot that specific type of game. So now the question becomes, is the church truly a place of spiritual guidance? Or has it mastered the art of emotional persuasion? Is time the divine command? Or is it a system that become normalized so well? People don't even question where the money is going. And most importantly, if you remove the emotion, the music, the atmosphere, the repetition, would the message still hold the same power? Because at the end of the day, the hustle isn't always loud. It doesn't always look like danger. Sometimes it looks like hope. Sometimes it sounds like the truth. And sometimes it's dressed up as God. Put it this way. Are you hearing the message, or are you experiencing a performance? And if you are, do you know the difference? This is Beyond the Bible, Deconstructing Religion. I'm out.